Crawfordland Castle in southwest Scotland is one of the country's last hidden treasures. But now struggling to pay its way, it's at a crucial turning point in its 800-year history. Simon Crawford, the 28th Laird, and his wife Aditi have just moved in to try and rescue the house where he grew up.
For me, it's coming home, and that's been one of my inspirations of wanting to be here.
With huge running costs and no money to cover them, they have asked businessman Simon Davis to find the radical solutions that will breathe new life into their crumbling home.
How long have you got before it starts to get very, very troubling?
6 months at the most.
With only months to turn Crawfordland's fortunes around, can Simon help this 21st century family save their 14th century castle?
You just think, oh, what have I done to deserve this?
I don't feel that we've got as far as I'd like to have got.
They're ruined. I've never done haggis pakora before.
Putting it bluntly, at the moment, would this make the grade?
Not yet.
It's going to be all hands on deck if we're going to make this work.
Yeah, I'll give it...
Crawfordland, a castle dating back over 8 centuries, is hidden away in 600 acres of Ayrshire in southwest Scotland. It's been home to the Crawford family since 1245, but constant maintenance of the fragile property has become a huge financial drain. The 27th Laird, Peter Crawford, spent over £300,000 on its upkeep until age and ill health forced him to move out 2 years ago and rent out the whole property. Now, in a bid to reclaim the family home, his son Simon Crawford and his wife Aditi have moved in, and they must make it earn its keep.
It's a very daunting project to kind of take on. We need to work out how we're going to actually raise enough money to make the castle somewhere that we can live in.
But moving back into Simon's childhood home wasn't an easy choice. They've given up their modest 3-bedroom cottage for a dilapidated 35-room castle with huge debts.
Our costs have slightly changed.
Yes.
Now, a small 1952 workers' cottage has some slightly different running costs to an 11-bedroom castle.
And we're just about to triple our mortgage to come and live here.
Simon and Aditi have raised enough finance to give themselves 6 months' grace. If by the end of that time they don't have a successful business in place, 800 years of history and 28 generations of Crawfords living in the castle will come to an end.
There isn't an option to quit, because if you quit, then the family loses the history, so you have to keep going.
But if they're going to save their family home, they needed to start making money. So they've called in business consultant Simon Davis.
Right, so this is the entrance. Not particularly inviting. For access, call, there's a mobile phone number, so... Hello, is that Simon Crawford?
Yes, it is.
Hello, it's Simon Davis here. I'm at your gates, and can you let me in?
But, yeah, of course. I'll hang up and I'll let you in. I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
With a proven track record in saving struggling businesses with radical new solutions, the Crawfords hope Simon can channel their passion and energy into a winning business formula.
We've got lots of ideas, that's our biggest problem. And it'd be really good with someone with expertise to kind of focus us a bit more. Go for this is what you do, these are your aims, and that's where you should be.
Simon.
Hi, Simon.
That's Simon Davis. How do you do?
My wife,
Hi.
Aditi.
Aditi, how do you do?
Good, thank you.
So Crawfordland, this is your new home, I believe.
It's our new home.
So how long have you actually been here?
800 years.
800 years?
Yes.
Yeah, you look fresh on it.
Thank you.
Now, how long have you actually lived here yourselves? then?
2.5 weeks.
Just 2.5
Yeah.
weeks. So this is all very new.
Indeed it is.
I look forward to hearing more about it when we go inside. Should we go inside
Yeah,
and I can
come on
take a
in.
look? You can show me around. Bit of work needed here.
Yeah, there's a bit of paintwork to do.
Interesting colour. Very bold.
Yeah, it's nice and warm. I suppose cold castle.
Warm is one word for it. It needs a bit of work, doesn't it?
Well,
Put it bluntly. Because, I mean, up here, if you look, I mean,
yes.
that's crumbling away, isn't it?
Yes.
If you go through it quickly and don't look too closely, everything looks fine.
Yeah.
It's when you stop and actually look a bit closer.
Yeah, it's my job to look closely.
Yeah, well.
That's why I'm here.
Yes, absolutely.
So, the situation at the moment, financially here, is... I mean, poor.
Simon Crawford manages the 600-acre estate, but Aditi, who works full-time as a medical rep, is the main breadwinner.
I get scared all the time. I worry what's going to happen and how we're going to pay all the debts back and what if it doesn't work. And yes, I do have my moments of darkness and doubt, but I think, what have I done?
But Crawfordland is more than just a family home that needs to be saved. It's a monument to British history, with a 17th century plaster ceiling decorated in preparation for a visit from Charles I, a 19th century tapestry made for Simon's great-grandfather, Viscount Kemsley, and letters handwritten by Mary Queen of Scots.
Bloody hell, that's another good colour you've got in here.
And beyond the acid yellow walls, the library boasts a collection of over 2,000 books, some dating back to the 1500s, and family trees showing links to the 13th century rebel fighter and national hero, William Wallace.
Just seeing all these wonderful old leather-bound books here, you know, it really reeks of history.
Yeah.
What's the really exciting bit of your family history? What's the bit that people can really get their teeth into?
Well, our connection to William Wallace is quite a good one. Wallace's mother was a Crawford.
So you're a direct descendant of William Wallace, then?
Yes.
Doesn't get much bigger than that
No,
in
it's
Scotland, does
pretty
it?
good. It's pretty good. Yes.
I mean, potentially you've got one of the last great unlocked Scottish castles,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
30 years ago, to try and generate some much-needed income, Simon's parents divided the castle to create a separate rental property. Known as the Tower House, it has its own kitchen, 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a grand Georgian drawing room. The Crawfords plan to rent it out for self-catering holiday lets, with accommodation for 10 people and charging up to £1,500 a week. To get a better understanding of how it might work, Simon Davis will be staying the night.
It's a pretty impressive space, isn't it?
It used to be the dining room when the house had its last kind of building period in the Victorian times. So this would be in the banqueting hall.
So I'm sleeping up there?
Yes.
And if this area would be part of the self-catering area?
Well, this would be a suite.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I better get my bags, actually, because I don't have my stuff, so I'm just going to nip down and get that.
Spending the night will give Simon the crucial time he needs to formulate his business plan to save the castle. And to find out more, he's going to have dinner with the Crawfords.
Oh, where's the hand for serving the rice?
Moving into the self-catering and hospitality industry is a world away from the Crawfords' backgrounds of estate management and medical sales. Simon Davis is concerned that they are taking on an area of business they know nothing about.
We have no experience of hospitality at all, other than that we used to throw the odd small dinner party at the cottage. So this place faces quite a big challenge for us with regards to that.
I hope he likes Indian food. But we should have got peanuts.
Good evening.
Evening, how are you?
How are you? Happy to see you again.
Yeah.
So do you like hosting? Are you into the idea of hosting people?
We did it more, didn't we, before the kids, but yes.
It's a big difference, though, isn't there, between having dinner parties and hosting your friends and hosting paying punters?
We're both certainly up for it, anyway.
The Crawfords have increased their total borrowings to £725,000, which will allow them £80,000 for immediate repairs and maintenance. They may have moved in just under 3 weeks ago, but Simon wants them to face up to the seriousness of their financial situation.
What, in your estimation, is the annual cost to live in the castle, upkeep?
30,000 a year.
About 30,000 a year.
Yeah, that's kind of insurance,
Heating,
tax and heating.
council tax, electricity.
What about maintenance? I've seen, as I've been around, there is quite a lot of work that needs doing here.
Potentially up to £100,000.
Unfortunately, that doesn't even start painting the hall.
I'm not even going to ask you for a number for a total renovation. I'm talking about the stuff that immediately we'll be doing in the ideal world.
Yeah.
I mean, are you aware of the difficulties that you're facing?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we need to make it a success, and we need to make it a success quickly, you know.
How long have you got before it starts to get very, very troubling?
6 months at the most.
We need to be in a position where we feel confident that we've got a business that's going to work come end of March, end of April.
It's going to be all hands on deck if we're going to make this work.
They are in serious financial straits, you know. They're mortgaged to the hilts. They've got huge amounts of upkeep, potentially huge maintenance problems. And at the moment, I can't quite see a way out of it.
With the castle in dire financial straits and just 6 months to reverse its fortunes, Simon must find a solution for Crawfordland quickly.
Your financial situation is perilous.
But he's only just scratched the surface.
This is where the romance of owning this castle ends. The place is an absolute mess.
Crawfordland, in a remote corner of southwest Scotland, has been the Crawford family seat since 1245. And, less than 3 weeks ago, the 28th Laird, Simon Crawford, and his wife Aditi moved from their modest 1950s cottage to this 14th century castle in a bid to try and save its wealth of heritage. While the original tower house is thought to date back to the 1300s, the main part of the house was added in the 16th century. The final additions, including the Gothic facade, were made in 1850 by Simon's great-great-grandfather, William Hewson Crawford. After 800 years here, the Crawfords hold a remarkable place in Scottish history. As well as connections to William Wallace and Mary Queen of Scots, in the 1400s, Jock Hewson, a Crawford ancestor, saved the life of James II of Scotland. This forged a link between the Crawfords and the royal family, which survives to this day. Ever since, any monarch visiting Scotland for the first time has their hands washed by the current Laird of Crawfordland using a silver jug and bowl. Despite its illustrious history, Crawfordland remains largely unknown to the outside world. It has a mounting repair bill of over £100,000 and costs £30,000 a year to run.
People do assume that because you're living in a castle, you're really rich, etc. No, we're not rich. In India, we have a saying, I think there's a similar saying here actually, loads of land and no cash.
With only 6 months to turn it from a crumbling relic into a thriving business before their money runs out, the Crawfords have called in entrepreneur Simon Davis to unlock its hidden potential. Simon has spent the night in the half of the house which the Crawfords hope to run as a self-catering holiday let.
Well, you can see it's a pretty fabulous room here, huge vaulted ceilings, and it's a pretty amazing bedroom, very grand, and a real sense of feeling like you're staying in a castle, which is a real treat.
With half a castle to himself, Simon sets off to explore. This side of the property is built around the original 14th century tower, and at its heart lies a stone spiral staircase which leads him to a hidden gem with huge potential for extra accommodation.
Just brilliant coming up those stone spiral staircases. Really gives you a sense of being in a castle, and we're at the top here and you can see all the castellations outside. It's a real sort of famous five feel. This room at the moment is a complete tip, obviously, but that can be sorted out. This is a great potential space and they need to do something with it and make it earn money.
Self-catering guests will have the use of the tower house's dining room, which is where Simon makes another important discovery.
There are just oodles of these family portraits around this house, but they all seem to be all over the place. It's a bit of a hodgepodge. This one up here on the right-hand side, it says it's painted by Rayburn. Now, you know, he's a preeminent artist. But here it is, stuck in the corner of this room. It's pretty dirty. The frame is completely knackered. And really, he's looking after, and it really needs to be seen by people.
But at Crawfordland, it seems that for every treasure, there is a hidden horror.
This is where the romance of owning this castle ends. I've just come up one of the stone spiral staircases and the place is an absolute mess. It looks like it's completely falling down. I'm not even going to go through there, because if I fall through that roof, I'm going to go arse over tit through King Charles I's ceiling, and that will not go down very well.
Despite the castle's fragile state of repair and the financial burden it carries, Simon Crawford has no regrets about bringing his family to live here.
For me, it's coming home. And that's been one of my inspirations of wanting to be here. And to bring the girls home so that they can enjoy the castle and the surroundings the way I did as a child.
For Aditi, who got engaged and married at Crawfordland, the emotional pull may be strong, but with only 6 months until their money runs out, she's feeling the pressure.
I think what scares me the most is how much money is it going to take to keep it going.
You seem to be, through your job, financing quite a lot of the situations in here, so there's a lot of pressure on you for that. Do you sometimes sort of think, is this going to be too much for me?
Yeah, sometimes I do, and I just think, oh, what have I done to deserve this? But I think the one thing Simon and I have in common is we're both fighters and we're both drivers, and we just keep going and keep going and keep going.
Crawfordland is just 30 miles from Glasgow, but the problem is it remains largely unknown to visitors. Although the 600-acre estate makes a small income from a trout fishery and mountain bike trails, with his track record of unconventional business solutions, Simon has hit on a money-making idea to put Crawfordland on the map, which capitalises on its natural resources: land, inclement weather and mud.
Thanks very much, Kester, for joining me down this grisly day.
Simon's invited Kester Wilkinson, whose company specialises in extreme endurance races, to come to Crawfordland in the hope that it is suitable for the latest sporting craze of mud running.
From my understanding, it's cross-country running, but with these extra obstacles, and you get absolutely filthy.
Essentially, in a nutshell, it's developed, particularly in the States over the last few years, where people will run 8, 10 miles, and within that run will be some really muddy, boggy pits and perhaps some obstacles that people will struggle through.
You had a chance to have a look around to see if this is a potential site?
I have had a look. I mean, it's got a good mix of terrain. And you've got a river and a really nasty swamp.
I just noticed all that bog over there as well. I mean,
it's pretty horrible.
This is what they want.
Yes, exactly.
That's what they pay for. What about money?
You're not exposing yourself to a big upfront financial cost, other than the hard graft to get the course right, to get the obstacles right, and your initial marketing.
Now, the more I think about it, the more I think it's time to get muddy here.
Having gathered all the information he needs, Simon is ready to deliver his business plan to help safeguard the future of Crawfordland.
You've only been here 2.5 weeks. Appreciate that. But I think it's going to be a very short honeymoon period. Your financial situation is perilous.
Simon thinks that what will save Crawfordland is not just a run-of-the-mill self-catering holiday let, but something that only the 28th Laird can offer.
For me, one of the most compelling things that I've taken from visiting here is the history. It has far, far more history than your average self-catering accommodation. In my view, you could create something quite unique by bringing together this compelling history with the self-catering to create a sort of historic self-catering operation. So how do you go about doing that? My view is the drawing room is the best room on that side of the house. I would like to see that become an epicentre for all the most important historical artefacts you have here. In essence, a living museum for Crawfordland. So when people come and stay and they can see all the best things that you've got, I think it will be a real selling point.
As well as unleashing Crawfordland's hidden history, Simon wants to make the most of the quirkiness that the Tower House could offer.
I think that wonderful crow's nest room up in the roof, up the spiral staircase. And I think you should look to convert that into a room where children can stay, like a little children's dormitory. Not only will that give you extra accommodation, but it's quite a good marketing tool. Were we to really push that heritage side, then rooms that you currently charge at £1,500 a week could realise 3,000.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think of an American who's coming over here and he's staying in an 800-year-old castle and the laird still lives next door.
Yeah.
He'll pay £3,000 a week with his friends.
Yeah.
With a neighbouring castle attracting nearly 1 million visitors every year, Simon must find a way to put this unknown treasure on the tourist map. Inspired by what the estate has in abundance, he's come up with a clever marketing strategy.
My idea is that we run an event such as mud running. I don't know if you know about mud running.
Sounds
The
fun.
clue's in the title, essentially. It's a sort of turbocharged cross-country. You can have 500, 1,000, up to 5,000 people taking part in these sort of races. If we charge £50 and have 1,000 people taking part, that's £50,000 of revenue. That's good money.
I'd never even heard of it. It sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
You have a lot of mud.
Yes.
Simon will return in a few weeks when he will put the Crawfords' hospitality skills to the test by getting them to host a trial dinner that must impress some of Scotland's most influential tourism experts.
Having Simon's next visit already looming on us, it gives a real impetus of let's buckle down to it. I've got a new project that needs doing, and it needs doing now, because if we don't deal with it now, we're going to be in trouble.
Girls, go and help Daddy, please.
What can I do?
The big box down.
Fired up by Simon's idea of creating a mini Crawfordland museum in the Tower House, the Crawfords start a treasure hunt for interesting artefacts.
We've got this silverware. That's an obvious object to have somewhere, isn't it? You hold the pretty bowl.
Wow, Indra.
So we put those two in the cabinet.
Yeah.
The silverware used for royal hand-washing ceremonies is the first item to go into the Crawfordland Museum.
Great picture, that one.
And whilst hunting through the family archives, Simon has even found a handwritten poem by the celebrated 18th century Scottish poet Robert Burns.
To kind of touch and hold a piece of paper that was originally written on by Robert Burns is phenomenal.
Wanting the Crawfords to understand that history sells, Simon is sending them away from Crawfordland to the Tower of Holbar. This 16th century defence tower in the Clyde Valley has capitalised on its history and created an original holiday let.
Hello, welcome to Holbar. So come through. It's one room a floor, but do be careful of the tight staircase.
This house may sleep only 7 people, less than the capacity of Crawfordland, but its historic charm means that guests are willing to pay up to £1,200 a week.
And then through into the Great Hall. It's not that great in scale, but
Wow.
This is the main living room of the castle. So if we come through yet another flight of stairs.
My goodness.
So we're now reaching the top of the tower, and you come outside onto the parapet, and then go in to the double bedroom, up in the garrets.
The garrets. That's the correct word.
That's what we should call it.
Yes, the garret.
The garret.
It's the largest bedroom, although you have to go outside to get to it. But it's quite a long way to the loo. And of course, you then have the other door onto the other parapet walk.
Oh,
And
wow.
here, isn't it wonderful? So that is Holbar.
Inspired by their visit to the Tower of Holbar, the Crawfords get straight to work on their own self-catering tower house.
We've done some decorating the house, kitchen, dining room and the stairs. That was involved taking all the pictures down.
Cleaning the frames.
And then we cleaned all the frames while they were down.
It's one of the ladies of Crawfordland. Alicia. Careful. I think it's about right.
Another job done.
And with the transformation of the hallway complete, Simon starts to clear out their garret to create a children's dormitory for family holidays. But when Simon Davis returns, will a trial mud run prove to be a step too far? And will he find the Crawfords' hospitality skills lacking?
Follow me.
When they host a dinner for some of the country's most influential tourism experts.
You can have a wonderful house, and if the people are very boring, then...
No pressure.
Then forget it.
It's January, and at Crawfordland, Simon and Aditi have only enough money to last until the tourist season begins in April. So it's crucial that they have their historic self-catering operation open in time. With no margin for error, businessman Simon Davis is returning to Scotland to make sure they're on schedule.
So this is one of our big changes.
I can see you've changed the colour.
You like?
Well, I like it because it's much, much lighter.
Yes.
And gives much more sense of space, and it shows off the paintings much better. I'm not a huge peach fan, personally, but I think it's a marked improvement on what you had before.
Although the redevelopment of the self-catering is making good progress, the castle's biggest problem is that it's hidden away from the outside world. Simon Davis has suggested hosting a mud running event that should draw in visitors and show off what Crawfordland has to offer. With the first mud running event scheduled for just 2 months' time, Simon wants to ensure that the course is absolutely right.
So what's the form? What are we going to do?
Events organiser Kester Wilkinson has returned to lead the way.
Okay. And how long would it usually be?
Well, this course we're going to look at is about 10k. But
10k? We're not doing that now, are we?
Oh, we'll do much.
I'm being beaten by a three-legged dog at the moment. It's not good, look. We're the guinea pigs, basically.
Simon Davis wants this to become a regular event at Crawfordland. Although their first one may only attract a small crowd, an established mud running event could raise up to £50,000 in ticket sales.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, Jesus.
Told you it was funny in here. Whoa! I've lost my shoe.
You lost your shoe.
Lost my bloody shoe already.
So what do you think of the course?
Yeah, I mean, you can't run through mud like that the whole way.
No.
But coming down onto the field, onto the river and then up, it's just really lovely. And you want people to have a nice cross-country run. You don't want them to have a miserable time, so you want them to show them all the estate has got, really.
Is it a good idea to wear trousers?
Well, I'd start with doing up your shoelaces.
I think that's too deep, don't you? Oh.
While Simon hopes that mud running will put the estate on the map, his plan to get the castle to make money is to put a new spin on the self-catering holiday experience. He wants the Crawfords to make a feature of the castle's extraordinary history. On his last visit, Simon unearthed a painting said to be by the eminent 18th century artist Raeburn.
I've taken the Raeburn off the wall so we can have a good look at it on an easel upstairs.
Oh, brilliant.
He's invited James Holloway, director of the Scottish National Portrait Gallery, to verify its authenticity.
So James, tell us a little bit about Raeburn.
Well, he was the sort of preeminent portrait painter in Scotland in the sort of 1790s, right up to his death in 1823. He painted really the great and the good of Scotland in the early years of the 19th century. He's a fabulous painter.
And is this a Raeburn?
Can I look at it with a torch?
Of course, yeah.
What are you looking for when you're doing that, James?
Looking at the quality of the painting of the eyes to see how good it is. There were one or two Raeburn imitators who are not nearly as good, and things like the eyes sort of just give you a little idea. Raeburn was really deft with his use of paint, and just little flicks just animate everything.
And is it a Raeburn?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is?
No, it's very nicely observed.
To relief.
Yes, yes. It's so nice to come into a house like this, which has such fantastic rich history. You just look around the walls and the family's here. It doesn't mean that they're all by the greatest artists of their time.
Yeah.
I'm rather fond of her because I love that sort of matron's cap, about sort of 1705, 1710. We're looking at Scotland about the time of the union with England. It's when Queen Anne was on the throne. Great frame, you know, it's all original. I mean, that's something that really sort of thrills me. See something like that in a house like this, it makes sense here.
But such a treasure trove is useless when it's completely unknown to the outside world. So tonight, to show off the castle's history and test the Crawfords' fledgling hospitality skills, Simon wants them to host a dinner for some of the most influential figures in Scottish tourism, with the Laird sharing some of his wealth of historical knowledge.
And I think Aditi and I both like to kind of fly slightly by the seat of our pants, so that's probably the way tonight will go. And hopefully it will be successful.
As it's the 25th of January, the Crawfords have made the bold decision to host the first ever Indian-themed Burns Night dinner.
I'm trying to get the last bits of the starter ready. I have no idea what I'm going to wear. What colour would Robbie Burns wear? What colour is he associated with? Yes, it's going to be interesting. I'm panicking, that's why I'm rabbiting. We need to move the dogs' beds from just outside the dining room.
In addition to tourism representatives, the evening's guests include Alistair Saudet, one of Britain's most influential authorities on places to stay. His opinion can make or break the reputation of any establishment. The success of the night will depend on the Laird's portrayal of the castle's unique history.
Crawfordland started its life in 1245, and we've had Crawfords living here virtually non-stop since then. And I hope that this evening you'll enjoy a good dinner, and I hope to also kind of retail some of the stories that go along with the ancestors that go back into Crawfordland. Follow me.
In your work, do you find that this is being done, this kind of Laird's dinner?
Yes, I mean,
things?
in our bed and breakfast books, for example, in Britain and France, you can find beautiful houses owned by lovely people who will engage with you in conversation over dinner. But the stories must be good ones, you know? I mean, any old story won't be enough. You can have a wonderful house, and if the people are very boring, then...
No pressure.
Then forget it.
In the kitchen, Aditi's struggling with her Indian take on the traditional Burns Night haggis.
They're ruined. I've never done this haggis pakora before. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
With the pakoras burnt, she needs to remake them all from scratch.
It's not easy, Aditi, it's not easy. Do you want me to start plating up the other elements of it, yeah? Make them round and I'll clear it. We'll clear that later.
Right, okay.
You take those. This is a very difficult exercise, but it's the best way to learn. If you just sit at the table and talk about how you should do it, you're not going to learn a thing. You've got to actually go out there and do it. So for that reason, I think it's brilliant.
After a delay of just 10 minutes, Aditi manages to serve her haggis pakoras, and the guests are none the wiser.
This is very, very good, Aditi.
It is delicious. Yummy.
Encouraged by the success of the food, Simon overcomes his natural reticence to share his recently discovered Robert Burns poem.
In our research, we found a very exciting piece of paper, which is an original piece of writing by Robert Burns on its original piece of paper.
No. Are you having us on?
No, this is genuine. And it's an epitaph to a lady who has passed away. To be fair, I don't think she was the bonniest of lassies, and certainly when she died, she certainly wasn't. Here lies with death's old grizzle grim, Lincluden's ugly witch. Oh, death, what a taste have thou, can't lie with such a bitch. So, she wasn't, there we go.
That's a remarkable find.
It was a fantastic find.
They are in that cupboard down there.
As the evening draws to a close, Simon Davis takes the opportunity to ask the guests what they think of the Crawfords' first attempt at hospitality.
I think they're doing a really good job. I mean, I think Simon's they're a little bit nervous, obviously, with good reason. And once they warm up, I think they'll be much more easy.
I think we've got the history, we just haven't brought it to life. Yeah. I think that's the bit that's missing.
Putting it bluntly, at the moment, would this make the grade?
Not yet, no. I think the Indian connection is delightful. I think they just need to learn how to give it panache.
Before he heads back to London, Simon wants to make sure the Crawfords are still on course for the launch of their self-catering business in just 3 months' time.
Last night was a situation that was created to really push you to the limit. You've now experienced the coalface of hospitality. Do you think you've made the right choice?
No, I just hope that we can manage to get all the changes we want to do to the house through quickly, because if we don't get that done, then we're in the concern of kind of missing this year as a commercial year, which could be difficult for us financially to deal with.
Is it snowing?
It is snowing.
Yeah, it's coming down quite strong.
I hope you're not going down M74.
As spring comes to Crawfordland, Simon Crawford works tirelessly on the tower house, taking down the ceiling in the garret room, which will become a children's dormitory, and putting the finishing touches to the Crawfordland Museum display. In 24 hours' time, the gates will be thrown open to host Crawfordland's first ever mud running event, which Simon Davis believes will finally put the castle on the map. So the 28th Laird is hard at work clearing the 10-kilometre course. And Aditi and the girls are preparing goodie bags for the competitors, which include leaflets advertising the estate's businesses. Knowing this one event could be the turning point for Crawfordland's fortunes, Simon Davis is returning to make sure that the Crawfords are really making the most of its marketing potential.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the mud running event at Crawfordland, but I really hope that Simon and Aditi have cottoned on to the fact that the event needs to throw a spotlight on everything else that happens here. Hi, Aditi.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well. How are you?
T-shirts, not
Very
too
good
bad
to
as
see
well.
you. I'd love to see inside, see what you've been up to.
As the mud running preparations continue in the grounds, Aditi wants to show Simon the progress of the garret room in the self-catering tower house.
Wow, there's some serious work gone on in here, isn't there?
Yes, Simon took the ceiling down. He's taken the horse plaster walls down.
So Simon's done all this himself?
Yes. Sometimes we'd be thinking, like to have done more, but I think when we're realistic about it, the fact the two of us are trying to do it together ourselves, I think we've done quite a lot.
Well, this might look like it's completely and utterly dishevelled, but actually I can see a hell of a lot of work's been done. And this will be the children's dorm, essentially, for when people come for the self-catering.
Yeah.
It'd be great up here, it'd be fantastic.
You know, big bean bag and TV in the corner, etc., etc.
It's great.
But as Crawfordland is about to be open to the public for the first time in its 800-year history, Simon has found out that the Crawfords are throwing away this huge marketing opportunity by not inviting the visitors into the tower house to show off the historic self-catering business they've created.
What you don't want is 100 people coming here and leaving here and none of them knowing that you're going to be offering self-catering. That would be insane. I know you're reticent about it, Simon.
I am, because I don't feel that we've got as far as I'd like to have got. When we set out the beginning of this journey with you, I had hoped by the end of it we would be a lot further forward than we are.
Well, I think you're giving yourself a tough time.
Well, maybe, but that's part of my own critique.
I think you should give yourself a break, Simon, frankly, because I think you've done a fantastic job. And I think you should show off a bit about it. I don't think you should be ashamed and say we haven't done as much as we expected to do. Those people won't realise that. Be proud of what you've achieved so far, the fact that you're introducing them to this potential new business, and you've got this captive audience. Mm-hmm. And that was the point of doing the mud running. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Simon?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of maximising marketing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
OK, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
After 5 months of planning and hard work, the Crawfords have done all they can. Now they can only wait and see if it will all have been worth it.
So is this where everyone registers?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then they can come in, and we have that door ajar a bit. We can see the window. And good. Well, that's the people who start to arrive, actually. Runners are starting to come. So great. Hi there, you all checked in?
Yes, we are.
Oh, good. How far have you come today?
354 miles.
354 miles. Hi there, everyone. Hi there, you all ready?
Yeah.
You ready for the off?
Yeah.
Well, I've been round the course here, you're going to get filthy.
Okay.
Fantastic turnout.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. It's really just so exciting.
Brilliant. Fantastic. I think you're going to be ready for the off in a minute. Good. Best of luck on the run.
Ready to go.
All right. I'll be cheering you on. Take care.
We're very grateful today. I mean, thank you for coming to our first Mud Runner Equinox in Scotland. Have a good time.
Go on, the lad.
With a final turnout of over 100 runners, Crawfordland has made a name for itself as an exciting destination.
Well done.
And the event has generated over £2,000 in ticket sales.
Well done, Alex. Well done, Simon.
Absolutely dead. That was insane.
Well done, you're the winner. That's all right. How was it?
Pretty tough.
You do it again?
Definitely come back, get all my friends to come do it and see them suffer as well.
That's what we want to hear. Will you be back to do the next mud run?
Yep, definitely.
Excellent.
I beat my grandpa as well.
Oh, you wee liar.
Enjoy that.
Oh, tremendous.
Good. You do the next one then?
Oh, aye, definitely. Tremendous.
Oh, thanks, girls. Thank you very much. Come in tight. Well done. Well done. Oh, God. Great. Everyone seems to be having a very amusing time. It's brilliant, actually. I haven't fully immersed myself in the mud run, but I've got involved in the fun bit afterwards.
So come on in.
Buoyed by the success of the mud run, Simon Crawford proudly shows off the self-catering tower house as a work in progress, including the new Crawfordland Museum.
This is our most notable painting. It's by a guy called William Rayburn. When I mentioned the King James Association, this silverware was used to carry out that ceremony for King George IV in 1822.
After 5 months of collaboration with Simon Davis, the Crawfords have their first self-catering bookings. And the next mud run is already scheduled for the autumn. Simon's ideas have the potential to generate an additional £45,000 of turnover in the next year. And, with only a month to go before their deadline, the extra revenue will give them the breathing space they need to continue their renovations.
Today we've had this fantastic event where we've had 150, 200 people in here, and you've taken over £2,000 in ticket sales. Now, I know it's just a start, but what a fantastic start. Did you enjoy the day, Simon?
Loved it, loved it. I've loved it from start to finish. Seeing the house transformed into a venue for an event was fantastic. The thing I think I've really learned over the last few months is how much people appreciate Crawfordland and what it has to offer and the history and the house, which for me is
big. It's a big thing.
I think the fear is that there's an image of people who live in houses like this, the aristocracy, you know, that they think it's their God-given right, da-da-da. So we almost kind of pull back because you think, well, if we talk about it, people might think that we're these pompous people.
But I don't think you're, you know, of all the people that I've met who've lived in houses such as yours, you're the least pompous, the least grand. And I think that came across today.
Yeah.
There was no us and them. And I think actually, you know, we live in a time now, in a society now, where if you're going to make a success of Crawfordland, if there was an us and them, it's going to fail. You've achieved what we've achieved here in 5 months. Yeah. Imagine what you can do in 5 years. I'm so impressed that Simon and Aditi had the courage to take on Crawfordland Castle. So many people wouldn't have done. I've every confidence that this home will be in the Crawford family for another 800 years.